Life in Willow Creek had always been calm, steady, almost predictable. The neighborhood wasn't perfect, but it was familiar, a place where lawns stayed neatly trimmed, kids rode bikes along winding cul-de-sacs, and most disputes never went beyond a polite conversation over the fence. That sense of peace fractured one ordinary afternoon when a crimson envelope landed in our mailbox. It looked out of place, blaring like a stop sign against the usual stack of utility bills and grocery flyers. I remember standing by the driveway, the RV looming proudly beside me, when I tore the letter open. The words inside hit me like a punch to the gut. All recreational vehicles must be removed from Willow Creek properties within 48 hours. For 6 years, our RV had sat there, steady as a guardian. More than just a vehicle, it was a symbol of family adventure, of long summer road trips and late-night campfire talks. It had been my dad Greg's passion project, restored piece by piece with calloused hands and stubborn determination. Never once had anyone complained. Now, with Laura Bennett newly crowned as HOA president, suddenly it was a violation. I rushed inside, waving the letter like it was on fire. Mom, sitting at the dining table with her laptop open, scanned the notice and frowned. "This is absurd," she muttered. "We've lived here for years. Nobody cared before. Why now?" Through the window, I spotted Laura across the street, her watering can tilted gracefully over the emerald green grass she obsessed over. Her eyes flicked to our driveway, lingering on the RV with a look that was more smug than neighborly. She had been in office for just 1 month, yet she was already reshaping Willow Creek into her personal kingdom. When Dad came home later that evening, the color in his face matched the bright red envelope as soon as he read it. He slammed the paper on the table and began pacing. "They can't do this. We specifically bought this lot because it allowed RVs. That's why we invested in the extended driveway." He pulled out stacks of homeowner documents, flipping through them as though answers would leap from the pages. Nothing here bans RVs. They must have slipped in new rules behind everyone's backs. The next morning, Dad left early with a bundle of old papers he'd dug out of Grandpa's files. When he returned for dinner, a quiet, almost mischievous grin played on his face. He said nothing at first, just poked at his food with the air of someone holding a secret. Finally, when I pressed him, he leaned back and told us something I never expected. "Your grandfather once told me something about Willow Creek. I never thought it mattered. Until now." The following day, another notice appeared taped to our door, this one louder, harsher, its bold letters screaming, "Final warning, RV must be removed by 5 p.m. tomorrow." Mom floated the idea of renting a storage space, but Dad shook his head. "That's hundreds of dollars a month, and most storage places don't even provide power. What about the fridge inside? We'd have to empty it every time." Then he dropped the revelation that shifted everything. "Did you know your grandpa owned all this land before Willow Creek existed?" My jaw nearly hit the floor. Dad pulled out a faded property map, its edges crinkled from age. He pointed at a patch of blue ink labeled Natural Spring. Willow Creek, as it turned out, wasn't tied into the city's water grid at all. Every single house relied on that spring, still sitting on land our family technically owned. "So we own their water," Dad confirmed. He explained that Grandpa had established Willow Water LLC, passing it to him years ago. My father had quietly kept the company running, charging minimal fees, only enough to maintain the system. I've been generous all these years, but there's nothing stopping me from adjusting the rates. That evening, Laura marched across the street with a posse of HOA board members, their footsteps deliberate, like an army. Her smile dripped with condescension as she addressed my father. "Mr. Harper, I hope you've arranged to move your vehicle. It violates the standards we've set for this neighborhood." Dad stood solid, arms crossed. "Funny, I checked the original HOA rules. Not one word banning RVs." Tom Grayson, the treasurer, piped up in defense. "We voted on the new rules last month. It was all in the newsletter." Mom scoffed loudly. "The one that gets stuck in everyone's spam folder? That's what you call notice?" Laura's smile faltered for a split second, then hardened again. "Rules are rules. Your RV lowers property values. It's non-negotiable." I felt my blood heat up. That RV wasn't just a machine sitting on wheels. It was Dad's sweat, our family's memories, our shared joy. "We're not moving it," Dad said flatly, his voice final. Laura's eyes glimmered with anger. Then prepare to pay. $100 a day starting tomorrow. They turned on their heels and left. Dad called after them almost casually. By the way, Laura, I've been reviewing the water service agreement. Rates haven't changed in 15 years. Seems like a good time for an adjustment, don't you think? Her shoulders stiffened. She didn't answer. The very next morning, our RV's windshield bore a bright orange sticker declaring a $100 fine. Dad peeled it off with a chuckle. They have no idea who they're dealing with. He spent that afternoon in his office, pen scratching across paper as he drew up a new pricing structure for Willow Water LLC. Basic rates rose only a little, but properties with heavy usage, those with lush lawns, ornamental fountains, and endless sprinklers, now fell into a premium tier. Letters went out that same evening. By sundown, Laura and her husband Mark were pounding at our front door, waving their latest water bill, $900. "This is extortion!" Laura shrieked. Dad leaned casually against the doorframe. "It's all legal. The contract allows tiered rates based on consumption. I simply modernized it. The neighborhood split almost overnight. Some families sided with us, furious that Laura had weaponized the HOA against long-standing neighbors. Mrs. Lopez, who lived 2 streets over, brought over a plate of cookies, calling the RV ban ridiculous and praising Dad for finally standing up to them. Others, mostly Laura's allies, grew hostile. Cold stares followed me to the bus stop. Cars slowed as they passed our house, their drivers glaring. Then came the vandalism. One night, our security alarm blared at 2 a.m. The footage showed Mark Bennett himself, crouched beside our RV, slashing every single tire, including the spare. The police collected the video evidence but warned us that pressing charges could ignite things further. Dad's jaw clenched. Maybe escalation's exactly what they need. At the next emergency HOA meeting, Laura tried to paint us as villains. "The Harpers are blackmailing the entire neighborhood with inflated water rates," she thundered. But not everyone bought it. Mr. Carter, a realtor with decades of experience in the community, stood up and dismissed her claims. "Property values haven't been affected by the RV. I've sold dozens of homes here. Not one buyer ever mentioned it." Dad then revealed another secret. Mark Bennett had quietly started an RV storage business, poised to profit if residents were forced to remove their vehicles. The room erupted in outrage. Neighbors started listing grievances they had long kept bottled up. Unfair fines for holiday decorations, bans on basketball hoops, overpriced mailboxes sold through Tom's brother's company. That's when Mr. Evans, a retired lawyer, calmly reminded everyone that the bylaws included a recall provision. If enough homeowners signed a petition, the board could be ousted. Suddenly, hope spread through the crowd like wildfire. The retaliation grew nastier. Our tires were slashed again, Laura's smirk visible behind her curtains as we discovered the damage. Her supporters honked horns late at night, disrupting our sleep. But cracks began to form. Mark's lush rose garden withered under the new water rates. His once pristine lawn turned patchy and brown. When he accused Dad of lowering his water pressure, Dad only shrugged. "Same pressure for everyone. Maybe you're conserving." One afternoon, a tow truck appeared, ready to haul away our RV. Luckily, I had stayed home sick from school. I confronted the driver, brandishing our lawyer's business card. He backed off instantly, muttering about not wanting legal trouble. Laura and Mark seethed from their porch, helpless. In retaliation, Laura pushed through a $500 emergency assessment for legal fees, claiming it had been approved in a closed session. This time, it backfired spectacularly. Neighbors poured into our house, furious that their money was being siphoned off. Mr. Evans led the charge, circulating a petition that quickly gathered signatures from 78% of homeowners. The night of the recall vote was unforgettable. The community center was packed to bursting, rain pounding the windows like a drumbeat. Every face glowed with anticipation and anger. Laura tried to plead her case, calling the recall petty revenge over one ugly RV. But Mrs. Shaw, a teacher, stood up and cut her down with a single line. "This isn't about one RV. It's about the fact that you forgot neighborhoods are about people, not power." When the ballots were counted, 67-4 in favor of removal, the room exploded with cheers. Laura stormed out, muttering curses under her breath. Her reign over Willow Creek finished. Within days, the board was reshaped. Mr. Evans was sworn in as president, joined by Mrs. Shaw and other reasonable voices. They wasted no time repealing the RV ban, refunding fines, and even proposing a shared RV parking area for the community. Just 2 days later, a for sale sign sprouted in Laura's yard. Dad kept their water rates high until the house changed hands. The change was immediate and profound. Willow Creek came alive again. Kids played